Hey, so something happens with the previous recording. I see a lot of articles and that they overhype and overflow the LinkedIn that LLMs need ontology. Um, so I want to say you that LLMs do not need ontologies. Actually, if you go to the ChatGPT and ask for the recipe of the pasta, actually you get the answer without any kind of ontology back. Uh, so Ontology itself is quite wide concept and topic. It starts from the list of terms as a vocabulary, then the explanation of the terms, then different taxonomies, and end up with the super complex rules that able to reason, define the entities, define the relations and all the things, and actually focus more on the shape and the properties of the knowledge graphs. And ontologies define usually what's possible and how the knowledge graphs could look like. And if you talk about the ontologies in a scope of the knowledge graphs, it's also turn the knowledge graph to the knowledge graph. Because if you just have the node and edges, it's a pure data graph, or that it's pure data that's stored in a graph structure, but we don't have the meaning. So when the LLM need to have the meaning, usually the LLM need to have the meaning and understanding of the meaning when the LLM interact with the humans actually. But still, if you use the Claude or Anthropic models or ChatGPT, it's usually super complex, multi-agent, probably product that have a lot of internals, the memory and understanding and all of things. If you use the pure LLM like Llama, for example, right? So then it's this different question. But uh, when we need to do some kind of semantical operations on the information, for example, we have the conversation. From the conversation, we want to extract the information, we want to extract the features that have the properties and all the thing, then we need to understand the meaning and the structure of the objects. And because humans also needs to understand the meaning to manipulate the information, and the need of the ontology appear, because the ontology in this case serve as a blueprint and extraction guide to do the knowledge extraction from the conversation. And for these purposes, to do the knowledge extraction and knowledge manipulation with the LLMs for the humans in a human context and human understanding, we really need the ontology. Because if we, for example, want to build the knowledge graphs from unstructured data, ontology will heavily help us to do so. But LLM itself doesn't need ontology. But I will tell you that LLM itself learn on the huge massive of the data, somehow have explicit knowledge about the ontologies. And when you talk with LLM understand your language, so you have the same semantical layer and same ontological understanding, at least, of the this massive of data that was used for training, because they was created by people that somehow share the same ontological core with you, and you understand these people, because we have all some kind encoded explicit ontological knowledge about the world around us, and we know that apple is apple, and it could be red, it could be green, and all other things. And if we see the blue apple, probably we know that something really strange happens. So all this knowledge encoded in a tons of the data that we feed to the LLM, and somehow the LLM have the ontological alignment and the semantical meaning, but doesn't even understand that this exists. So if you will ask me if LLMs need the ontology, I will say no. But if you will ask me if agents that manipulate the information do the knowledge extraction and needs to interact with the humans as one of the consumers or interfaces needs ontology, probably I will say yes. But ontology is not enough. Ontology is not enough, and together with the ontological layers, we need the epistemology layer and all other things. If we building the agents, for example, for the business and enterprise, we also need the causality relations, explainability, temporal, causal, and topological analysis of the data. But all this somehow dancing around the graphs. But graphs not only one form that need the ontology, we could have the different knowledge representation, and we could even have the different logical representation. It's more you need to understand that ontology from the primitive vocabularies and in some extremely complex logic that allows us not just to organize the data, but reason about the data, even about the data that not encoded in a graph directly, but could be deducted from the rules that are part of the ontology axioms. And that's the most powerful thing that ontologies could bring to the agents, that ontology could form the semantical system that together with some logical solvers and constraint engines could create the opportunities for us to do the reasoning on top of the data. And this reasoning do not require the LLM directly. It could be done on different level and form the neurosymbolic tandem. We also could have the graph neural networks and encode actually ontological knowledge in the graph neural networks as a form of yet another graphs. And it's also possible. But when people ask you, does LLMs need ontologies, you could ask them for what? What kind of job needs to be done to have the reasoning and understanding of the meaning? If we don't need so, we don't need it. That's all. It's simple. And if I could give you the suggestion, try to focus not on hype, but on something real and designed based on your current tasks and challenges. If you really need an ontological core, if you really need a sophisticated ontology, or you could just move forward with the primitive schemas and property graphs.